Just to ensure this is some good old-fashioned evergreen content, I had the absolute pleasure of talking with some of the Royal Crackers creative crew right after the Season 2 finale on Max, available right now. The following is an uncensored, very minimally edited conversation I had with these incredibly passionate people. I know there's several call to actions, and there were several call to actions in my second season video as well, but it cannot be understated, and I hope that you understand after watching this video why it's so important to support animation and writing like this. So without further ado, please enjoy. Ahoyhoy, gang! If this is your first time with us, welcome, and if you're joining us from a previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. That's right, it's my voice, so it's time for something brand new. This is no retrospective or review, it's a Royal Cracker Creative Crew interview. We've got Executive Producer Evan Mann, Series Director Freddy Cristy, and of course, Series Creator and Resident Stebe, Jason Ruiz. Thank you all so much for joining me today. How is it feeling that Season 2 is wrapped? How are you guys adapting to the post-season, I guess, afterglow?
I'm very curious to hear your guys' reactions. I'll just go first and say, like, I was texting with Evan this morning, and I said, this is the closest maybe I'll ever feel, but as of right now, it's the closest I've ever felt to being a writer director who has whose movie just opened to a blockbuster, that made box office at number one. It's nowhere, it's not that level, obviously, but the reaction from the audience has been so incredible after the airing of the season finale, and has made me feel so good. And I've been on cloud nine ever since that episode aired.
Yeah, it's been so great to see people invested in the show as much as we who made it were. There's an enormous amount of care that goes into every single little detail, and to see people writing about it on the internet and responding to it and getting that stuff and appreciating it is just incredibly validating. It's just wonderful to see people enjoying it, because that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point, is that we're trying to put some smiles on faces. And it's just been great to see people enjoying it.
Yeah. And there was, sorry, Evan, I was just gonna say, there was a long window where we were working on the show, and it got pushed back and pushed back in terms of its air date. And the frustration, Freddie, if I may, I remember us sharing, was just it's great to be employed and get a paycheck for sure, but that's not why we got into this business. We want to put it in front of an audience. That's what it's all about. And
yeah, to that point, and you're talking about season one. We were we were well deep into season two before season one had even aired. And so that it was really just felt like this vacuum of we think we're making something that people are going to like, but I think like both Jason and Freddie said, seeing people appreciate what we've put so much TLC into, it's just a really wonderful feeling. It's not like people because of course every critiques run the spectrum, but to have the people that are into it really be into it, really love it, and really notice the details, as Freddie said, that we all work so hard to put in, is it's great.
Wonderful. Let me see. Okay, and so I did want to start with just a little something simple to help give people an idea of who you all are. So if you wouldn't mind going in depth with a little intro of what you've done on the show or what you do on the show, because I can say executive producer, but that glosses over so much of what you do. And then same with just director, creator, what have you. And then what were some series, movies, creators that inspired you for your comedy style, for your, why you wanted to work in media?
Well, I am the creator, and I guess technically the showrunner of the show. So, my job is a lot of the kind of final decision making of, you know, something as simple as, does this character wear this shirt or this shirt? It's like, you know, and sometimes when, you know, I fall short, Freddie or Evan will pick up the pieces and make the decision themselves. But I do my best to kind of guide the ship in terms of those creative decisions. I write scripts that have my name on it. I help revise scripts that have other people's names on it. And I would say Evan and I both kind of share running the writer's room, I would say. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Freddie.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
Oh yeah. I mean, just off that, I think that's right. Like, so, you know, I'm a writer first. And so that's, you know, how I came into the show. And then I think it's just like, as you know, a producer, it's just like kind of, that's like being part of the animatic phase and helping cuts and helping essentially guide creative decisions at every point down the line, you know? And yeah, that's really, it's just like I think that covers it. Yeah. Like being part of everything creatively.
It's not much. It's not much. You don't deal with very much.
Small tasks.
It's just everything. Yeah.
Evan shows up like once a month, you know, checks in. How's everyone doing? Okay, and then we never see him.
Good. Okay. Yeah, get a coffee and I roll.
No, Evan is the creative partner in crime for sure, as well as Freddie. Go ahead, Freddie.
Oh, sure. Yeah, as the supervising director, I think you could think of me as kind of like the liaison between the creative EPs and the kind of like nuts and bolts day-to-day workings of the animation studio. So I'm there to, like, you know, bring the vision to life in a way that like we can break down into the hundreds of individual tasks that you need to do as an animation studio. And I'll tell you, one of the super fun things about working with Jason is that he's actually a Flash animator. And I say Flash because from back in the day, right? Back when it was called Flash. And so Jason understands the animation process in a way that like not other creators might. And he also has a really good handle on how it can be funny in a way that other creators might not be able to like get. So like the script, thanks to Evan and the writers, the scripts are there, right? You need that solid script. You need a real story. And then for me, the fun is when we get into those little details, building out those little moments, and then finding like the really, really funny bits in the editing bay, which we do so often. The stair fall from the first episode of season 1 was born out of a Zoom room like this, where our editor, Ben Martian, who I want to say is also another really big creative voice in Royal Crackers, that bit came out of a Zoom room like this with me and Evan and Jason and Ben just bouncing off of each other and like stretching it out and shortening it back down. But like, and all of us fucking cracking up. Can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
Fuck
Why
yeah.
not?
Yeah, it's very easy for me or Evan or any one of the other writers to write into a script. Then a monsoon happens and 1,000 people go running down the beach. Freddie has the headache of going like, how do we actually do that though? Does it have to be 1,000 people? Can it be 10 people? How can we create the illusion that it's 1,000 people? Freddie has the nightmare job of like taking, because, you know, with the scripts, like it's always kind of like, let's shoot for the moon, like the highest aspiration, like, and you know, there's a budget on the show, clearly. And Freddie is tasked with how can we do this in a way that is still not selling out the idea or selling out the bit, but logistically possible for the budget that we have.
That
And
is
what
a question I did have. So, like, obviously, it's very, I guess, infamous at that point that a lot of Adult Swim shows have just shoestring budgets. Was there any, like, cost saving maneuver you had to do that when you look back, you're like, wait, that actually kind of works better than what we had planned before we had to do it?
That's such a great question. It's such a great setup. I wish I had an example for you because I can tell you that's happened a lot in my career where the thing that's cheaper is better. I'm going to have to stew on it though to see if I can find a concrete.
No.
When you asked that question, it was like I think Freddie and I had the same feeling as yeah, that happened a lot. I just don't know. I can't cite an example, but yes, like if I can give like the best version of an answer to that is like, yes, that happens a lot where it's like, okay, we are limited in how we can do this, but how can we make the limits work for us?
I have an example that I think might qualify in 205 Badai, the kind of montage where they're going through the city. Like,
Yes.
I feel like that was an example where it was like we kind of hodgepodge that together, right? And the simplicity of it and the simplicity of the moves and like not going full out, just I think we all thought made it funnier.
No,
Sorry, I was just gonna say the staircase, the stair faults, the thing that kind of drew those initial eyes to the show, that stair fall scene. It's like we don't have the animation to like keep having them, like we don't have the budget to do that. Like let's just loop the same animation. Like that's a very good example as well of just like limitations creating something better.
Yeah. All right. And then I did want to go back to the scripting, and there was actually a fan submitted question that covers it. For an adult comedy like Royal Crackers, Kaylee asks, is it easier or more common to come up with the episode plot first and then write jokes around it? Or is it instead to bounce jokes around the room to find the funniest ideas and then build a plot around that?
There's a number of different ways that we get into constructing an episode. One for me personally is music. Music inspires me a lot. So, I feel like I could be wrong, but like I feel like a lot of people are acknowledging like, hey, the needle drops at the end are really like sometimes those needle drops write the episode before the episode's even thought of. So for example, like
Catalina.
Yeah,
that was a really good one.
I played Murder City Devils for you guys in the Rise. I was like, this is how it should feel. And by the way, it's like kind of, and it's not comfortable for like a group of funny writers to sit in a room and like listen to a song. Like it's very awkward, but it's part of the job, unfortunately. And I was just like, we didn't. Let's just say we didn't have anything. We might not have like for that episode, and it was like. But I know that the feeling the audience should have should be like this song, where it feels like impending doom. And I remember describing it a lot as Theodore Sr. getting the Ring of Power from Lord of the Rings, like it falling into the wrong hands. That was like the sort of the core abstract idea of that episode, and then that song informed that. My thing with the music, like. Then writing the episode is just my mission statement is like, I really love this song and it makes me feel this way. So now what is the journey I have to take the audience on to get them to feel the same way that I do when I hear that song? So yeah, it works that way sometimes. Sometimes it's, I feel like the Peloton episode, we were just like, I want to do a Peloton episode that just goes absolutely crazy, like that it just goes nuts. And it's just that simple of an abstract idea that worked in my opinion. Yeah
Yeah.
Just a quick aside off of those needle drops. I want your listeners to know that we had no idea that Barbie was going to be this huge movie when we started working on Rachel's episode. Jason played me that amazing Aqua cover like years ago, literally years ago.
Yeah, that was a case of the music existing. It made me feel very sad, and there's this kind of undertone of not evil, but like I don't know, like for lack of a better word, a darkness to that song. That I was like, wow, the juxtaposition of, there's there's a lot in there that you can feel about just kind of the artifice of being a person. And at times it has echoes of that. It might be just a word in the song, it might be two words, it might be what the song is about, but it's just picking up on those, like, this is making me feel this way. And I think if a story is told right, like, it'll get the audience feeling exactly how I do and why I appreciate this so much.
Wow. That's beautiful. And that did bring up something I wanted to ask about. So it sounds like you produced all these episodes at one go, just across like 2 years. You didn't really have a chance to like build off of commentary from the first season to the second season. Would you say that you would go off of criticism from season 2 to season 3?
No.
Well, but just to be clear, like it wasn't like we did one writer's room for the first 2 seasons. So there was time there. We didn't, to your point, we did not have the feedback of the audience at that point. But I know some people have said like, oh, they just did 20 episodes and broke it up as 2 seasons. And that wasn't the case. We did do 2 separate seasons. There was a little bit of a gap. There was an overlap with production from season 1 into season 2. But yeah, no, we did. Yeah, going into season 2, obviously there was no audience feedback. And what did you say, Jason? No, we're not gonna. We're not.
Well, we take it into account. We definitely read the stuff, and we definitely take it to heart when people don't like it, and we definitely take it to heart when people love it. But when we first started to get reactions from the audience, a lot of it was negative. And I remember we were kind of in the middle of writing the second season. I feel like let's say we were at like episode 3 or 4 when season 1 started airing. That's iffy. Like, I'm not sure if that's the exact timeline, but it's around there. And I remember reading the negative things and then having to write an episode and sitting down, and all of a sudden I'm writing for these people that hate my show. Like, how do I win them over? You know what I mean? Like, and you're not going to like get rid of that. Like, do not let them like. And it took a minute to kind of register that, but I hit a really bad wall where I was writing for critics, negative critics, and you can't do that. It's just gonna stifle you. That's all it's gonna do in terms of just productivity. Maybe it'd make a better show if I wrote for them, maybe, but it definitely will not create productivity for sure.
Yeah, that's my imagination too. It's just like, look, it's validating. Like, obviously the positive things are validating. It's like, okay, great. What we're doing is resonating, and so let's keep doing that. I imagine, like, so there's a way of like taking the positive, right, and using it to be validating, and just kind of not giving a shit about the negative.
Yep.
No? Right. Answers that question. Gotcha. So shows traditionally do have a roadmap of what they want to happen and when. With perfect conditions, everything how you want it, how long would you want Royal Crackers to ideally go on for? How many seasons do you think you'd be able to perfectly tell the story you wanted to tell, since it's based off the music you enjoy?
There's, I'm kind of wrestling with that right now, to be honest with you, creatively. Like, there's part of me that thinks maybe making it a finite series, like a definitively finite series, could be really fun. To plant your ending and go like, no, we're gonna end it here and we're gonna go all out here. It would certainly make planning a lot easier. But I also just, I love the show, and I think there's so many places we could go with the show. I just wouldn't want it. I'm not the most novel person for saying this, but like, I don't want it to live past the point where like nobody cares about it and it just fades away. I really don't want that at all. Like, so I'd like to leave on a high note. Right now, I feel like we're in good shape, but like, I think I'll admit I know what the ending is of the show, and I don't know, kind of like a sort of basic level. And there's part of me that's like, fuck, that's gonna be so epic, and let's do it now. But it's like no, like we got time. Let's let these characters win some more people over, and yeah, we'll see. And also, by the way, we don't have a third season yet. It's up to Adult Swim.
Exactly. Check it out on Max. Watch it right now. 20
Please
episodes.
watch
You
it
can
on
do it in a
Max.
day.
Yeah.
So, well, and I did want to ask, there was a lot more violence, a lot more gore, a lot more, I guess, extreme violence in season 2 compared to season 1. Was that always like the plan, or was that you got more budget between season 1 and season 2 and that was what you always wanted in season 1 as well? Or is that just a darker tone being set going forward?
I think we just felt, Evan, don't you kind of feel like when we were writing the stories, we just felt like more free to take liberties with how crazy this show can go.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that 107, the 0.1%, was like a big turning point for us, where we kind of realized how crazy we could go with the show. Even, I don't know why, but Factory 37, as much as I love that episode, I'm not knocking that episode at all. But it didn't really set in even after that one that what we could do with the show. It felt like it was
still kind of held back.
It felt sort of like in the same vein as like Maul does, where Maul is kind of like intentionally a horror,
right,
making fun of horror tropes and having fun with them.
It was very chopping Maul.
That's the
classic
inspiration.
I'll take it. I saw it and I was like, wow, are you Red Letter Media fans? I was like, wait, no, it's...
And I'm always a fan of the trope in every horror movie where people are getting murdered and it's like, no, the beach stays open. It's like, but why? Why does no, we're gonna keep camping. We're
gonna save the mall.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, 107 was I sidetracked myself. I'm sorry. So that was where we really figured out how crazy the show could go, was 107. And then I just, I wanted the show, my favorite things, and I've been preaching this since the beginning of Royal Crackers to the team, which is like my favorite thing is dark and funny. Like fucked up, dark, but still hilarious. Like, if you can get the audience laughing in places where you can also tell a really dark story, that's my favorite place to be. Yeah, like, I don't know, like, do I got that right, Evan? Like, do you kind of...
I think that's right. I mean, I think it, like, some of it was just kind of circumstance, like like there wasn't like I don't think we went into season two with a thought of like this is going to be darker or more violent than season one. But then just different story elements, kind of, a lot of it had to do with the exploration into Senior's past.
Mhm.
And that he is obviously this kind of very dark, maniacal character. And so some of it was baked in. And then things like the mall episode, that's just like a little bit of an outlier. But when in totality, yeah, no, there's definitely, it's, and that, and the Peloton episode. But that part of it too was like outside of the senior stuff, the senior flashback stuff. We were looking for we were leaning into genre stuff a bit more, which is like Badai is like more action movie genre-y. Obviously, Mall is kind of like rompy horror, right? And sci-fi a bit with My Cycle episode. So some of those things just kind of those genres kind of just naturally led to things being a little dark, a little violent.
That's awesome.
And Freddie, I kind of feel like when we were doing 106, the first senior flashback, Mayworth.
Mayworth was kind of a game changer for us. I think it kind of showed us that we could leave Bakersfield and have a very successful episode.
And go dark too. That episode has just a dark, depressing ending. But I kind of feel like, honestly, like I only speaking for myself, like, but I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like, I kind of felt like we were all like, I know it ends like as almost like a There Will Be Blood spoof ending, but like in our heads, like we were making There Will Be Blood, like we were making like an artistic, really like pushing ourselves to make the most artistic episode of TV we could.
100%, 100%. It was a high water mark for us as a show, and it was something a little different. I mean, maybe that's a little bit. Absolutely, the second season went a lot crazier than the first season. I think some of that was just under us understanding what we could do. The show is probably still is fundamentally a family sitcom that's mostly centered around the Hornsby house. But maybe once we got a taste of that kind of like foray into something that was a little bit more I don't want advanced filmmaking, or something that was a little bit more like a crazy location shoot, or something that was just outside of the normal world. Maybe once we got a taste for it, it was a little bit hard to put that genie back in the box in season two.
You at times need to be a little kind of blind arrogance of just, like, we're gonna make the greatest thing ever, and just believe that. And I feel like that was the attitude on that episode. You can debate whether we fell short or not, sure, but that was our attitude.
No, that's just so incredible to hear that there was such a creative vision behind a show that's like Royal Crackers, an Adult Swim animated comedy that has more thought put into it than a Chuck Lorre production. It's baffling to see that, and then to see people not be talking about it. You talked about so many different episodes. If you had to recommend someone check out just like one of the 20 episodes available right now on Max, make sure to check it out. What would that episode be, and why? Which one best encapsulates what you want people to get out of Royal Crackers, and what do you want people to get out of Royal Crackers at the end of the day?
Ooh,
That's a good question.
that is a good question.
I mean, personally, I think you should just, stream all of them, and then stream all of them again. Get your friends to stream all of them.
Yeah, for sure. Let me take a stab at like picking one episode.
Hey, while you do that, Jason, I just super quick off that thought about working with Adult Swim. Um, I've had the pleasure of working on a bunch of Adult Swim shows. Not a lot of experience working on other stuff, but I talk to people who work on Disney and Amazon and whatever other projects. And Adult Swim historically has been, and I think this is the beauty of it. Adult Swim has historically been as hands off as possible with their creators. They let their creators make art. That's my experience. Like, do they have notes? Yeah, but from what I hear from other people working with like bigger networks and stuff, the network execs are way, way more involved with like what you could call the heart of the show. On Royal Crackers, like, the heart of the show is Jason, right? And those of us supporting him. Uh, so what you get is kind of real in a way that you might not necessarily be getting with like a bigger budget show with like more layers of creative control from executives, like up and up and up the chain.
That's a very good point, Freddie. Like we have to shout out Adult Swim because they really let us make the show we wanted to make, for sure. There were notes, but the notes were things that were fair. And our goal on the show in terms of our production team and like the overall energy of our creative process is best idea wins, like no matter what. And that can come from anybody. Like everybody can have a say, like and state their opinion. Somebody could say they're offended by something, like and we will listen to everybody. Everybody can chime in. We don't shut out any voices. So that starts at the top, which like Adult Swim definitely like if they had a note, it was reasonable and it was something we took very seriously. But overall they let us do what we wanted. Like I used to say all the time, like leading up to the release of the show without having it be seen by the public yet, I would say like what's kind of scary about this is that I cannot point the finger at anybody if it fails. like there's no scapegoat. Like we made the show we wanted to make. Like I can't be like, well, if Adult Swim had like they were like, go for it. So we whatever we put out there, good or bad, we had to own it,
You know what they wouldn't let us do? They would not let us do a full wide shot of Theo Jack hanging, which I think would have been funnier if we had been able to do that. I think that would have been a bigger laugh, but
that was definitely the biggest fight of season 2.
That was a fight?
Well, getting as much as we could on screen as possible.
I just remember that day, like an executive was out of town and that created complications. And it was like, we were editing that scene that day and we kind of had vague answers of how we could shoot it. And so I guess I could say our executive at Adult Swim, Cam, like he's at a wedding, like talking us through like, okay, like let me get on the phone with like S&P about how much of Theo, like, and we're just, it's the most serious fucking conversations about a guy jackhanging. Like we're literally like it's like life and death on the line. We're like rushing around, like I'm pacing around this apartment, like getting whoever I can on the phone. Like, all right, how much can we show? All right, so if we show this, like, okay, get us that clip right now, get us that version right now. We'll compare the two. We'll give S&P notes. It was just like this frantic, very serious like venture about a guy fucking jackhanging. It was like one of the most absurd moments of my career, for sure.
Well, there was a whole other aspect to that too, not just what we could show, but what he was listening to was like a huge legal adventure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Well, getting a musician to give us the rights to their song to play during that was the challenge.
yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I'll say this: there was a band we were very set on, and they were like, you know what? We just don't feel comfortable with our song playing behind that visuals. Fair enough. We had to go with, I think we plan D. We tried a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have an answer to your question.
Yeah, of course.
I would say Steve in season 1.
That's totally awesome.
Episode 4, I think. Yeah, that was, I'd say if you're just like, you've never seen the show before and you're going to jump in, like that, I think is a pretty good Royal Crackers experience. And then watch the rest. But yeah,
starting at 4, forget 1, 2, and
yeah.
Nah, go back. Watch it all the way through again. 21
Watch it
episode
all,
run.
please.
You got this.
I do, you know what? I do think that one probably could have been a pilot too, because I think it sets up the world pretty well. But yeah, I think like that one, like it's early enough where you get a sense of the characters, kind of get a sense of the world, and most importantly, get a sense of the tone of the show.
Ready? You got one?
I think I might just second Evan's amazing idea. Like I'm a huge Stebe fan. Aiden, do you have a favorite Royal Crackers character?
It's actually probably Steve. Like just genuinely just Steve, Theo, because I swear he was my boss when I worked at a tech repair company. Like just the way he's humanized is so actualized, I guess. Like I could totally believe that he's drinking a Monster Energy drink and, I don't know, just doing something horrible with Delta 9.
I can give you a very funny anecdote about the genesis of that idea of Steve, where that came from. I was living in downtown LA, and I walked across the street to a Starbucks, and the barista was I want to say like a 18, 19-year-old kid, and an 18, 19-year-old like tall kid. And I would see him often every time I went in there. That was like the Starbucks I went to. And I order my drink, and he goes, "Do you want that sweetened or unsweetened?" And I said, "Unsweetened." He goes, "Okay," because there's another little guy who comes in here and orders a sweetened version every time. And I'm a coward. I never like the idea of any kind of confrontation terrifies me. And like, I remember not feeling anything when he said that. And then as soon as I opened the exit door and started walking across the street back to my apartment, I went, "What the fuck did he just say?" Like, I got so angry and so hurt. And it was just this very vague idea of like a guy being sort of belittled by a barista in a coffee shop, and kind of winning that battle, whatever it was kind of the start of that idea.
That's so cool.
The episode it's hard for me to say that it would be a good one to jump into. But man, I still, like, admittedly and embarrassingly enough, will put on the 10th episode of season 1 and I will cry at the ending.
It's so heartbreaking. It's so good.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was very personal. It's kind of about, I think it's about my relationship with these guys, and like having a creative partnership and how special that is, my relationship to the show, and, the ending lyrics, oh my God, they're fucking slipping past now. Essentially, this is all I've been dreaming about. And it's 100% the true. And that's my relationship with this show. Like, I've been thinking about having this show forever, for my whole life. And it's all I've thought about, to a fault. And so, yeah, that episode is like, just like, so that is like just me putting my heart completely out and putting all vulnerability just on the table. Again, don't know if it's the one you want to jump into, but I definitely think it like that it does what it is trying to do. It succeeds in doing what it's trying to do, I believe.
Great. I think it's like a illustration of, something that's a little bit new, right? That so many of us experience where like you've got this heart aching emotional need that's like barely being met by this strange interface, right? Through your computer. You're certainly not getting it from like your family or like the real people in your life, but there's like this, there's this heartbreaking hope, like maybe just on the other side of this glowing screen.
And also, you could argue that it's kind of about COVID, and the distance we were all feeling from each other. I mean, that season was totally produced during the lockdown. I think that ending, my favorite endings of anything, movies, television, are complicated endings. They're about a lot of things. And I feel like that ending of season 1, that ending is about a lot of different things. And you can interpret it a number of different ways. Addiction, that's another one. One could argue it's a story about an addict who's, Matt's room is in complete disarray and kind of feels like maybe, this time suck that's, all of his energy is going into this thing, is taking away from the quality of life around him, possibly. Again, I'm not like none of these are definitive answers of what it's about. I'm just
right.
Yeah.
What we really need is to get that season 3 so we can get the full scoop behind Al and those two ladies on his ski trip. That one photo in 110.
Steve, I like skiing. I love that scene. That was great. Honestly, like, what is it like with like Al being more prevalent in season 2? Fred Tatasciore is in like every episode. Just like, what is it like working with these vocal legends? I mean, you've got him, you've got Mile Flanagan, Stephanie Sheh, who was beautiful in Rachel. I mean, that was a landmark episode. But you also have like tons of big guest stars this season. Robert Patrick's in it, Robert Englund. You got both Roberts. Like, what is the guy from System of the Down, Darren Malakai, or I'm horrible with
You know what? I hope I'm saying it right. I believe Malakian, I believe.
Malakian, yes.
Who's become my best friend now. I just went to dinner with him a couple nights.
That's so cool.
We're not best friends. He's gonna watch this and be like, he's a really, really great, awesome guy. Talk about Fred. Like, Fred taught me, just from working with him, that voice over acting is a completely different muscle than acting. It's not the same thing, and it's a talent that not every actor has. Like, name the best actor in the world. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great voice on a show.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
He chose the one. That's just a great. But I mean, I don't know. It's like there is no guarantee of like screen presence goes a long way. And when you eliminate that tool from somebody, it's a big piece of the puzzle that like doesn't always translate great. Even some of the funniest people in the world, like their comedy doesn't necessarily come through in voiceover. But Fred is a guy that, first of all, you can give anything to. He's going to find a way to do it in a unique way that sounds different than the voice he just gave you for this other character 5 minutes ago. He knows to treat every line for the important line that it is. He doesn't phone it in on anything. He gives it his all. And he's really, he showed me the difference of what a pro is and me.
Yeah.
Like he's amazing.
Yeah. Fred, everyone in the cast is amazing. Fred
Deborah
is
Wilson,
like,
another one.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
right. Who like comes in as a utility player for us and like just always hits it out of the park and is like so demanding that we feel like we have it before she's ready to move on. It's like it's wonderful. Yeah, everyone, everything Jason said about Fred and the other cast members is just right on, just because they're so talented and everyone seems to come into the studio and step into the booth with like this, like, we're gonna get it right, and yeah, it's we're very lucky to have such a talented cast for sure. And
But
Jason.
who I think is a weak link? No, I'm just kidding. Stephanie, I'm so happy to hear you praise Stephanie's voice acting on Rachel, just because I really think she carries that episode in a way.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. She knocked it out of the park.
Well,
yeah,
Ryan.
Sorry.
No.
I was just gonna say, and the guest cast that we had this season was super fun too. Like you said, Robert Englund was like such a thrill. Like just to like be working with him in a horror spoof episode was kind of surreal. And again, someone that just like brought so much to it. And then Robert Patrick, I remember we were in the record for that episode, and he's like, why'd you guys like want to hire me like for this role? It was like for the agent role. It's like, because you're Robert Patrick.
You were in Double Dragon. How could I not?
Yeah.
And he was and he also plays the angry driver in that episode, and he just killed, like, he just goes.
He was the angry driver?
Yeah.
I saw he was like Brad Neely or something. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I was not there the day that he recorded, but I recommended him because he auditioned for a show I did on Fox in 2012, 2013. And I mean, he is down. He just goes in and he wants to have fun. Like he wants it to be a blast. And it's infectious. You feel it, like, even over Zoom, I imagine, Evan, like,
yeah, he was like
just
red and sweaty, but it's like when he went to an angry driver, he's like, I mean, he was really like emoting. It made me think it'd be fun to bring him back as angry driver filled with bullet holes in season 3.
He's like, he can't go down yet.
I've had the thought, believe me. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I think this is probably about the best place to wrap it up. Any final thoughts? Anything that you want the audience to know?
I have something I've been dying to say, which is I was talking with Jason in the writer's room, and I said to him, totally straight, not pitching a joke or anything, I said to him, some people don't like coconut LaCroix. I said, I know it's controversial, but I actually like coconut LaCroix. Can you imagine my delight? Can you imagine my delight when that turned into like a Stebe line in the show?
That's like the best scene in the entire show, in my opinion. I love the LaCroix scene. The Croy boys.
Freddie, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember you saying that. Is that true? You told me that?
Oh my gosh, I literally said that to you, and then I saw it in the script. And when I said it to you, I was just like, I wasn't pitching a joke or anything. I was just being me.
That's great.
I literally was like, because I mean, if there's one thing the public knows about writers' rooms is that LaCroix are ubiquitous. They're always there in writers' rooms, right? And like I was pulling like a, whatever lemon LaCroix out of the fridge, and I was like, it's controversial because I have gotten shit from people for being like, yeah, give me a coconut LaCroix, and I've gotten like, ew.
LaCroix is right now, but if those sons of bitches at Bubbly get their way, no, I'm just kidding. I don't have a dog in the fight at all.
Yeah, no, I would, to that point, I would just say, I think that's actually a good, the LaCroix scene is a good example because like, we feel like this is a show that like can do the small, quiet stuff and also, go really big and crazy. And I think one of the things we all feel so lucky about is how we work on a show that really we have the bandwidth to do both. Like it feels like we can do like these little small jokes that hopefully people respond to, but also just get big and wild and tell crazy stories. And that's, I mean, it's, I think as far as shows I've worked on, I don't think there's anything I've ever been more proud of than these first 2 seasons of Royal Crackers.
That's amazing.
I have I think what could be very good parting words, which is advice for anybody who is starting a show out in their first or second season. Go as crazy as you possibly want the show to go as early as possible. Because if we had done Rachel season 7, episode 9, people have been like, the fuck? Like, did they run out of ideas? In the first couple seasons, you're setting the tone of what you can and can't do. So open those as many doors as you can. And then the audience will be comfortable with the most extreme turns and twists of a story moving forward. So like, if you want a show that goes crazy, go crazy right from the get-go. Don't save it for later, whatever. Like make it as crazy as it can be. That's a realization I had recently. Is like, yeah, I'm so glad we kind of made that statement early on, and it didn't look, like we were trying to be something we weren't ever, yeah.
You laid the groundwork as best you could so that no one could question it.
I think so. I hope so.
Aidan, I just want to say, Aidan, I just want to say thank you so much for having us. I mean, this has been really, really fun, and I mean, I can't tell you how thrilling it is to like be asked to talk about this show. I'm so happy you like it enough to put work into it like this.
Of course. I mean, it's like, okay, so if you're watching a show, it feels very reminiscent of things like Metalocalypse or China, Illinois. It has all this wonderful energy to it. The stories are built fantastically. You have a wonderful soundtrack attached to it. So when you see these negative reviews, it's like, it's nothing. It's like, no, there's tons of work and effort that goes into the show that needs to be celebrated. That's it. I just want you guys to get the appreciation you deserve because this is a one-of-a-kind Adult Swim show. Having grown up with the whole Adult Swim catalog, this one is truly one of the most influential, up there with like Venture Brothers, Space Ghost, and Aqua Teen. Like it's bar none.
Wow.
Yes, thank you so much. That's
high praise.
Thank you so much. Like, I got nothing to say. Thank you. Thank you. Your videos are just, you're blowing up, and I couldn't be happier for you. And I hope you just keep going because I remember what I was going to say. Your sentiment about, hey, don't let this show be one of those shows that we look back like a Freaks and Geeks where we go like, fuck, I wish we had supported this when it was on.
That would have been great.
Yeah. Like we need that. Like, please, like, support the show now, because like this is where the decisions are going to be made, if you love the show or have any interest in it. I really appreciated you saying that, Aidan, so thank you.
Of course. Well, before I start crying, make sure to check out Royal Crackers on Max, available now, both seasons. And that's going to do it for this very special episode. Jason, Evan, Freddy, thank you all so much for coming on today. And make sure to check out Royal Crackers again on Adult Swim and streaming on Max right now. And if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, share, and tell your friends. We're out here. Thank you so much for watching. Stay strong. No matter what, I believe in you. You'll get through that darkness. I promise. And like always, I'll see you next time.